Yeah.
Uh-oh. How you take this? I'm acting like I don't know how to work Zoom. Like I don't use Zoom every day. Okay, here it is.
Cool. And let me know when you're ready, Danielle.
All right, so thank you all for having me
Wait, I
today.
want to introduce you.
Oh, you gonna introduce me? I'm sorry.
Can I
Okay,
introduce you?
go ahead. Go ahead.
Yes, welcome everybody to another CME production. Um, some housekeeping rules. I'm going to send you all the link if you have attended this presentation at the end. I'll send the link out for you to click and mark your attendance. And then also I'm going to send you all a post evaluation survey to complete. So look out for those. But today we have one of my best friends who I think I met you before Marquise.
You did?
Did I meet y'all together at a party?
I think you met us together. We was all
Was that a
together.
party?
Was it? We don't say parties. I think it was
A
a,
gathering?
a social.
A social event, yeah.
That's when
Um,
making the corn, making the popcorn.
who, me?
Yeah, isn't that what you was making popcorn?
Oh yes, my birthday at my house.
Well, he
Oh
was making popcorn.
man,
We making s'mores.
you were making s'mores. I had it hooked up.
That wasn't our first time though. But okay, I'm gonna.
Basically it was. Um, but yeah, so I've known Danielle since 2014. Then yeah, and her, Marquise, and myself have been friends ever since. Um, yeah, it's incredible to see her growth into the woman that she is, and is destined to become. I feel like when I first met her, she was kind of shy, but she wasn't shy in the same breath. So it's good to see her, like, break out of that, secondhand shyness that she usually, might sometimes feel, and do more things where she is, um, using the voice that is within, right? It's like, what's Mulan? What's that Mulan song?
Y'all know I don't
When
watch.
will my reflection show
Okay.
who I am? And she's an amazing singer too, by the way. So we are all in for a treat. Um, one of my great friends, Danielle Macon, who was going to be talking to us today about something that's near and dear to her heart. I'm not going to give too many things away, but something that's near and dear to her heart and to her research at the program she is in. So without further ado, I would like us to welcome Danielle Macon.
Thank you so much, Corey. It was actually 2015, because that's when I got to Philly. But yes, today we'll be exploring gender dynamics in the Black community, and the baseline of that is around this conversation of what it means to really truly be pro-Black and for the Black community. So let me do a little bit, more introduction of myself. So I'm originally from Detroit, Michigan, and I graduated from the University of Michigan in 2015 with a BA in English and African American Studies. And I came to Temple in 2015. I've been here since. It's an adjustment. It's some similarities to Detroit, but there's a lot of differences too. Like I think um, culture wise, it was like a culture shock being on the East Coast. But I received my master's degree at Temple in Africology in 2017, and I'm currently a PhD candidate in the Department of Africology, where I'm now researching sexuality, womanism. I do a lot of work with pop culture and mass media. I'm really into music, so a lot of my dissertation is about like soul music, neo soul, and like the soul aesthetic. And I do a lot of work with theories of race and racism. So, what really sparked my interest in not only like my dissertation topic, but like I guess I'll say this presentation today or this discussion today is that like I'm really a social media junkie for real. Like I really like spend probably too much time on YouTube and on Twitter, and I like to watch people debate, like not in a messy way, but I just like to hear different people's perspectives. And I always see that there's like this, if I don't know if y'all familiar with Black Twitter or if y'all have Twitter, but like there's always like conversations on Twitter and then also on Facebook about like Black men need to do more of this, and Black women, y'all don't do this, or black single mothers ruin the community because y'all doing this. And I also always see these conversations going on and on and on. And I'm like, why the hell is this happening, right? Or like we are like basically talking in circles at each other a lot of the times. But it just really sparked my interest in like studying how we interact with each other as a community, but also like how it is like a reflection of how race in general, how we see ourselves as a people in society, in American society. So that's basically started like my foundation for today's topic. But I do want to have you all introduce yourselves. I know some of you came last week, but I just wanted to have you reintroduce yourselves. And also, I really want to hear like who influences you in the Black community. So like, who is the most, not pro-Black person, but like, who's the most influential Black public figure that you identify with in pop culture today? So, yes.
I can start and then I'll popcorn.
You can start and then do the popcorn. Yeah. Okay.
So my name is Corey Delaney, support coach at CME. The most influential Black, can this be past, present?
Yep.
Well, there's Malcolm X, of course, is one. Just his growth from knowing what he knew to in his yesterday was the 50 year I forget the exact number of his anniversary of his assassination, but to knowing what he knew in his passing, I feel like he had a breadth of experience and knowledge and wisdom that changed him for the better, in my opinion. So that would be someone to identify with.
Okay.
And I popcorn Lamar.
Let me see. Can y'all hear me?
Yep.
We can hear you fine, brother. We can hear you.
I'm just coming in. I don't know what's going on. So
got you. So you're asking what's your name? What's your name and the most influential Black public figure that you identify with?
The last question is, I would say, kind of profound to me, because there's a large number of so many, but I would say I wouldn't use the word identify, but I would say I really admire Malcolm X and Marcus Garvey. So yeah.
Nice. And then you get to pick someone else on the screen to go next.
Okay. Good. And nice to see you, by the way, Corey. Greetings. I will call on Marquis. How you doing, man?
Lamar, brother. Lamar, how you doing?
I'm doing good, bro. I'm doing good.
My man, as you should. Thanks, Lamar, for popcorning me. My name is Marquis Marshall, and a Black figure that I would say that I know or identify with right now. I'm really feeling Josephine Baker right now, yo. She was like supposedly supposed to be like the Beyonce before Beyonce. Shorty was bad. Like she can do it all. She's just talented and like her I feel like my highest form of art is just like performing in front of people, and she just does that so effortlessly, and it's just like, oh, I want to be like that or better. And I'm gonna popcorn Cosmic Redeemer. Keanu,
we're introducing ourselves and talking about the most influential Black public figure in pop culture. And you're on mute, Keanu.
All right, I'll popcorn somebody else. I'll popcorn Angelo Campbell.
All right, thanks, Lamar. Yeah, what's going on, everybody? My name is Angelo Campbell. I was just over here thinking about who I would identify with in the black community, like somebody of a high stature. If I could say anybody right now, I'm thinking about it. In the music industry, that I can relate to is like Chris Brown, because like I'm a dancer, and then I used to look up to him, even like in Stomp the Yard in the movies, and I just see him and he dancing stuff like that, like or like step up, like dance movies in general. I just like that, and he just speaks his mind. He don't care about what nobody says. His opinion is his opinion. He doesn't like he stick to it, and he just really driven. He's a great artist, musically and just all around. Just a great artist and a great person. So yeah, I'll say that. I'll popcorn Aponte, who like he just got here. Aponte.
Hello. Can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Okay. Well, my name is Aponte Cole Anthony, and one of the most influential Black figures that I know or identify with in pop culture for me still has to be Rihanna. And I know it's quite strange, but it's just the musical side and the boldness, but daring to do more. It's the side that draws me in to Rihanna.
Hey, bro, your artist name is Cole Anthony.
Huh?
Your new name is Cole Anthony.
My artist name is Rockwood. It's my middle name.
But you go by Cole Anthony.
Yes, it's my last name.
All right.
I have two last names. Okay. That the popcorn somebody? Or did everybody speak already? Oh, okay. You know what? I'm gonna popcorn. Did Justice speak already?
No.
All right, Justice, then you're up.
So I'm Justice. I think I would have to say Dave Chappelle, because he speaks on situations and like on topics that people don't usually typically talk about, and he's able to throw in like anecdotes or more so like what he feels the topic should really be addressed about it, right? And he does it in a manner where he doesn't necessarily offend anyone, but I mean, well, he necessarily doesn't really care if it offends someone because it's supposed to stir a reaction regardless. And like I remember when everyone was saying in the beginnings that being close to like your enemies or someone who you disagree with, I think that's really important because it gives you another side of things, even if you don't necessarily agree. Because I mean, if you don't agree, that's fine. I think the spirit of having an opinion is what makes us human. but Dave Chappelle really does speak on a lot of topics that I think are pressing and that we should be talking about. Oh, and I popcorn. Theo Brown.
Theo.
Let everybody know. Theo Brown, go about the office. Call him Theo, but most influential person in the black community I know or identify with. Kind of don't want to just piggyback off of what he said. Do feel like Dave Chappelle is pretty influential, and I guess that's his takes on society, his observational looks on stuff that wouldn't necessarily say shape, but it does. It's very thought provoking. My bad. I don't know what else I missed. So yeah.
It's cool you're just picking someone who hasn't gone to go next. For instance, like Sari hasn't gone yet.
Then Sari it is.
Whoa, all right. So if I would have to pick someone, he's been on the scene for a little minute. Lee Merritt will be a great person, I think, I can select, because in this sense of time that we're going through in the world, I feel like Lee Merritt has definitely been on the scene with the Ahmaud Arbery case and many other more, Tiana Jefferson, and fighting for our culture. You know, he is definitely a super dope activist, you know, and he's for our people. You know, I was just on Instagram a couple of days ago looking, and he has this organization called, I think, Black Cross, where it replaces the Red Cross to help people in color get the services and things that they need for that's in Texas. He also lives in Texas as well. So yeah, just doing my research on him, man. He, you know, definitely inspiration, even though I'm not going in the field of law, but he's definitely inspiration as far as in helping our people. If I could pick someone, I don't know who's on here. What about, is his name Cosmic Redeemer?
I think that's Keanu, and I think he's been going in the chat. I don't know if he has access to his mic right now or not, but he's been talking a lot.
Okay. What about Andre Williams? Did he go?
Yeah, Andre can go.
Yeah,
unless Keanu, you
can't
talk.
put it in the chat.
Okay, cool, Keanu. Thank you, bro. Yeah, Andre, you're up, bro.
Yeah, how y'all doing today, good people? I will not respond until I get a response. How y'all doing today, good people?
What's up, man?
I was muted. How you doing?
Hey, let me know you out there. Yeah, if that really gave me a lot. I had a lot of time to pause and you know, give it some thought. So first, if y'all ever see, other than cleanliness in my second bedroom, which acts as an office and bike storage, I don't know if you can see this poster behind me. Try to get my camera skills right. So you got Martin Luther King, Stevie Wonder, Bob Marley, August Garvey, and Malcolm X. Name of this is called Black Minds. It was something that was hand-drawn with a pencil. Freaked me out. So when I had the opportunity, I had to buy it. But, you know, it gave me time to think. And a lot of people like went through my mind. And I would have to say Byron Allen. That's right, lady Danielle, your homeboy from Detroit, Byron Allen. You know, seeing him start out in the media, he was known as like the corny dude on Entertainment Tonight and all the rest of that. But he kept, you know, pushing and going through, you know, all the things that we might go through to kind of keep us down, hold us back. And he just recently launched a television network called Grio. So he's done something that has helped us, you know, it's given us a platform, and they show, mostly Black movies from different eras, etc. So I would have to go with Byron Allen. Oh, and I'd like to popcorn. I don't know who hasn't gone yet. Everell J. Brackett, you up next.
Everell Brackett, my guy. He might be, there he is.
If Ev don't jump in, I'll jump in if he doesn't.
Cool. I just saw him go off mute and then back to mute. So Everell, if you hit mute on accident, you can, there you go.
Yeah, well, go on. Sorry about that. Right. Yeah, influential figure in pop culture. Really? There's so much to choose from, Nice. I would say I would have to identify with Marcus Garvey. And another one, like Andre said, Bob Marley, because like he influenced the reason why they're influential to me, because one, Bob Marley like does music, listen to him back then. I was a kid. And trying to think of something else to say, but like
it's cool, bro. Yeah, I think Marcus Garvey and Bob Marley are good answers. Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah, and I'd like to popcorn. Yeah.
I think it's Al, Shane, or Marquise.
Oh, I would like to popcorn Marquise Jacobs.
I had to find the mute button. Good evening, everyone. Marquise Jacobs. I presented last week. I'm back again to listen to what Danielle has to say. Most influential Black person, I'll pick two. I think Booker T. Washington, his book, Up From Slavery. I read it when I was an undergrad. Instantly became one of my favorite books. His story is very inspiring. And then I have to mention Marcus Garvey. So my hair is dyed RBG colors. So without him, there would be no, like, my hair just wouldn't be dyed. So I got to respect that and add him to that. And then Corey, who else ain't going yet?
Al or Shane.
All
and
right,
Danielle, but
Al's next. Popcorn Al.
Hey, thanks a lot, Marquise. Appreciate it. How y'all doing today? Al Swindle, a support coach here with my great colleagues, Corey, Pat, Shane. We'll let Shane finish it up strong, as he usually does. So one of my favorites is Muhammad Ali of all times. He's one of my favorites. I like listening to every speech he ever spoke, every TV show he went on. His points of view, he just always stands on his points of view no matter what. He didn't go to war. When they told him to go to war, he went to jail. They stripped him of his boxing license at the height of his career. He was always speaking out for Black people, no matter what, no matter where, no matter what stage. And I can only hope to be a part of what he was, but I just like the way that he spoke out, always said his truth, and always spoke up for Black people. So that's my guy.
No.
Shane.
Yeah, I'll follow up. So I have two, and I don't have a specific ranking. But the first being Toni Morrison. Her writing it blends so many different genres, right? So there's some, like, obviously most of it is fiction for what she's known for in the mainstream, but there's just like real stories and real elements to it. And I follow Aisha Selden on Instagram, and she's like a big like real estate investor, and she was breaking down how, like, in Song of Solomon, a book that came out in like the 70s, talking about holding on to property, talking about like passing on wealth generation. And so super influential. And then right after would be James Baldwin. His writing in general has just spoken to me over the years. But then his overall approach to activism and rooting love at the center, and really just kind of putting up a mirror to white people and saying, like, hey, like, if your whole identity is rooted in racism, then I'm really concerned for your well-being as a human, because there's so much more to life and there's so much more to existence. And then that other concept being of just not believing the lies told about you or told to you is really powerful for me.
Did everybody go? Everybody had a chance to go? Yep. Okay. Y'all had some really good ones. I'm like, man, I should change my answers now. Like, because
Miss Danielle, I'm sorry, I don't mean to cut you off, but I wanted to add one more. And it's
add one more. Go ahead.
Did anybody know Quinta B, the lady who made the video? He got money, or that skit or whatever.
Oh yeah,
large. Yeah,
she's from Philly.
Yeah, she went. Her mother was my kindergarten teacher, and I guess she went to my elementary school too. And apparently, she got this new show on that's coming out on ABC called Harity Elementary, and that's my elementary school. And I'm dumb hype, so I gotta add her in my list of Black people who are important to me.
I like that. Quinta B. Quinta cool, and she real cool. Like, I like that. Y'all gonna see mine in a minute, but I'm like, a lot of y'all, we shared a similar person. But let me go to the next slide. Okay. Yeah, just to give y'all some objectives of what we'll be talking about again. What does it mean to be pro-Black? And I wanted to get that conversation started about like who's influential to you. And a lot of y'all named activists, like people who are important in the Black community, like Bob Marley, Booker T. Washington, James Baldwin. I thought that was a good one. I almost put James Baldwin in mine too. Toni Morrison. We had Garvey, Malcolm X, Lee Merritt, Byron Allen, right? I wrote down all of you all's, even folks like Rihanna, Rihanna and Josephine Baker, who were afraid to explore their sexuality. You all, I appreciated how you all had, I didn't even ask y'all the question of pro-Blackness, right? But y'all talked about influential Black people, and y'all had to have like a wide variety of what y'all consider to be influential. And I really do appreciate that, because it came from like various perspectives and standpoints. But so we'll be talking about what does it mean to be pro-Black, this gender wars discourse and discord between Black men and Black women, more specifically cisgender men and cis women in the Black community. And also we'll be getting on the touchy subject of feminism and whether feminism is relevant or not. And I'm interested to hear y'all's opinion on that. So I did ask y'all about who's influential to you, and a lot of y'all gave like these Black activists, like pro-Black folks in the community. Well, who I would define as pro-Black, but does anybody want to like define it for me before I give y'all my definition of what pro-Blackness is? Like, what does pro-Blackness mean to y'all? And it doesn't have to be like this super academic definition. Like, for instance, like somebody said Dave Chappelle, right? Because he wasn't afraid to say or stir the pot and say what other folks, you know, are afraid to say in comedy. Like, for instance, is Dave Chappelle pro-Black?
Yeah, I would think so. And I think pro-Black really is just being an advocate for Blackness, right? Mm-hmm. And pro-Black could look different in any industry. Like you could, like that's why I said like Dave Chappelle, because he is the pro-Black person in comedy, right? Or someone can be a pro-Black person in nursing or something, or health, right? So I think pro-Blackness is really being an advocate and speaking on, or not even speaking on, but acting in the way where you operate in your industry, where you're promoting betterment for your community, or either that be indirectly or directly. And that could be like you simply educating your friend group, or actively doing something that churns out actual results. So, I mean, pro-Black is really just supporting your people and speaking on those things, and that being an advocate, I think.
Anybody else? I seen somebody shake their head. No. Marquise, you said no for Dave Chappelle. Why did you say no?
You said Marquis or Marquise?
Marquise. You.
All right. So I just think, so Dave Chappelle has said, I don't think he's pro-Black. Mm-hmm. Because like to be pro-Black, you need to be pro-Black for all of your community. He's made jokes that were homophobic and transphobic before. Like he made jokes about, what's the name? Kylie Jenner's mom's name. What's her name?
Caitlyn.
Caitlyn. Made jokes about Caitlyn. So then it's just like, what line is there where like this joke is okay? Because is it just white trans that this joke is for? And he's like power to the people for Black trans? If that's not the case, then like he's not pro-Black. He's just, so I wouldn't consider.
Well, he didn't really specify. Well, in terms of him speaking on the trans community, he's not in one of his skits. He didn't target them, but it always comes to him actually. Like he makes jokes about in various forms, like rather be gay, poor people, or like he talks about a lot of stuff in his skits. And of course, if it resonates with you more, or rather be because you know someone or you identify in that regard, you're obviously going to have more of a conflicting side of that joke. And that's the point of his jokes. It's supposed to stir some type of feeling. If we are always in constant peace, and not to say like obviously we need to wreak havoc, but if we're always in constant contentment of like our ideas or our feelings, then we can't progress as people. So he didn't outright say, nor does he really believe in not supporting trans. It just happened to be in his joke where that always happened to be, and he presents that and puts it into light so that it can be touched on. He doesn't hate trans, or it just really if you watch the skit, it'll unravel a little bit more about how he feels about them. And really is that he actually gives a lot of respect to them. He said, of the LGBT community, trans have it harder. And like he says, to really feel like to really be born in the wrong gender, that you feel as though that you just can't, you don't feel comfortable in your own skin. That is crazy. Like that is crazy to believe. Like not crazy to believe in like that can happen, but crazy that he gives a lot of respect to them because they undergo a lot for being themselves. So I think that's what he's really trying to say. But I mean, but I think it just stirs up some more stuff that we could talk about, I think. But yeah, if that makes sense.
Yeah, because I thought you were gonna bring up Marquise. He's married to an Asian woman. So is it possible to be pro-Black and your sexual life partner is not Black? What does that say about who you deem as attractive? And I thought that's where you were gonna go, Marquise.
No, that's not my ministry. So I'm not going talk about that. That's not it.
I mean, we have to though, right? But
that's not my research.
You don't want to get into the interracial.
It's not for me. Everything is not for everybody. One thing Barack Obama said in his book, He said a wise man needs to know when to be silent. So.
I mean, yeah, I think the conversation of like whether Dave Chappelle, I thought that was very interesting too. Justice is why I asked that. I'm like, what do you think about Dave Chappelle? You say he was influential, but is he pro-black? And where's that line between like being like an influence in the Black community and actually being for the Black community? You know what I'm saying? So that's why I asked that question. But I think Dave Chappelle in particular is someone who has definitely start the pot in the Black community, and also start a lot of controversy in terms of how we conceptualize pro-Blackness and how we understand it to be like. Also, I'm trying to figure out how to phrase this, but like it started a lot of controversy in terms of, I guess, is he truly transphobic because he's making a joke for people, because people like to have that conversation like, hey, he talked about poor people too the same way. But are you equating like actual trans Black women being killed to like people who are poor and he grew up poor? Like, are you equating different oppression? Are we doing oppression Olympics? All these other things. But I don't know. I think that here are my definitions of pro-Blackness, and then y'all could say whether the figures that y'all named as influential maybe fit within these pockets. So these are some definitions I found. It's actively seeking to improve the condition of Black people, right? So I think you said the advancement, no, you said to advocate, just as you said to advocate for Blackness, and also the betterment. So that's kind of similar to, but I'm saying like to actively seeking to improve the condition. Like, is his jokes on trans women, or is his jokes on gender or whatever sparking controversy just because, or does he have like a component of his joke that's seeking to like improve the condition of how we see trans people, right?
Yeah,
so,
I think it does, because he said, and it's like he says of the LGBT community, the T, like he says the T people have it hard. Like in the LGBT community, like trans people are at like the bottom of the totem pole in terms of like advocacy and really having their voices heard. Like gay people have a little bit more, and then bi people is a little bit is iffy, but like other people don't have it. Like I think it comes a little bit more easier than someone in trans. But even today, like when Trump was president, he was like taking away their rights, like for registering for the army or stuff like that. Like he was like actively making it harder for trans people. And I think it brought a level of awareness so that we could start talking about this and actually start having conversations, because in the limelight, it was only like to discredit trans people like in their beliefs. But he actually said like to be trans and actually to undergo like, the transition is it's like, how can you fake that really? Like, how can you fake, not feeling right in your own skin? And I think that was a topic that we should be talking about,
Yeah. Yeah. And I also think like piggybacking off of that, like when it comes to like this conversation of what pro-Blackness is, it kind of, I guess it depends on like your perspective too, and like your position and how you your position and how you see the world, right? So these are 4 people I have up here who influenced me. Y'all had some good ones. Like, I'm like, oh, Rihanna. I was like, let me think of, I don't know why I didn't even think of I guess I'll say like Black artists who explore their sexuality, because I listen to a lot of soul music. I'm like, why didn't I say like Janet Jackson or something? Hint, Marquise. But yeah, so these are 4 women that not 4 women, but these are 4 figures in the Black community that I say are both influential to me in my work, but also are pro-Black. So we have Kimberly Crenshaw. She's a legal scholar. I don't know if y'all have ever heard of the term intersectionality, but we'll talk about that a little bit later. She coined the term intersectionality. She's also advocate for like equal rights in terms of the legal system and stuff like that. And also like this idea of like interlocking oppressions between advocating for a Black, trans, queer, poor, and disabled, all those people who have these different oppressions in the legal system. And then next here on the right to her, we have Bell Hooks. She also on my earrings. You know, I love Bell Hooks. She's a scholar, a feminist. She's also I guess I'll say a cultural critic who talks about Black sexuality. And she also talks a lot about masculinity too. So she actually talks about like femininity, masculinity, and like also how we conceptualize those things in terms of like where did our understanding of Black masculinity come from, and how is that a reflection of white supremacy and slavery and all these other things. So we have Garvey. A lot of y'all said Garvey, and I'm like, yay, I said Garvey too. I think I was introduced to Garvey, I think it's late, but undergrad. And I was introduced to him by like a lot of his quotes. I think what caught my eye is not just his Back to Africa and Black nationalist like advocacy that he did in the 20s, but also like his I should have put some quotes up here, but he had a lot of like really, I guess I'll say, what's the word? The word isn't radical, but I guess I'll say he had a lot of like forward thinking stuff to say about like how we conceptualize our own beauty, like how we got to see beauty within ourselves. Like he didn't really play games of like these European beauty standards of like appreciating, I guess, straighter hair and having a narrow nose more than what we see like in like magazines and stuff like that, right? He really was into not only fighting for like self-sufficiency and economic and self-determination of Black people, but also having Black people see themselves as seeing ourselves as beautiful or even more beautiful than what Europeans had taught us to believe. And then also I have Molefi Asante. He's the chair of the department at Temple University that I am in. He's also my dissertation chair, but he does a lot of work on like Afrocentricity and a lot of work on like centering African perspectives in terms of like Black consciousness. So he's really in like, instead of like, he's not really, I guess, active in terms of like the legal field or cultural criticism, or in terms of like actually like being economically self-sufficient, but he really did, I guess, say change the game in terms of like how we think of ourselves, like as, or how we think of Black consciousness. Like, for instance, we'll always use this like as an example of centering like Black perspectives or Black consciousness. If I ask y'all, do y'all listen to classical music? Corey, do you listen to classical music?
I don't know if you want to ask me, because I'm about to come back at you with the question of who's classical.
Okay.
I do. I listen to
classical. You listen to classical music?
Yes.
What kind of music? What's your favorite classical like artist?
I sound like a poser. I mean, not like a poser, but I sound like a bandwagon when I say this. But this joint on fire, 4 Seasons by Vivaldi, that like the winter season, that joint hot.
By who?
Vivaldi.
Okay, see, that's who's Vivaldi? Look, that's beyond me.
He's supposed to be like one of the top, like he's supposed to be like one of the top composers. Like he tough.
He tough. Okay. The reason
who are the other top composers, Mark?
Yeah, who's some more classical composers?
Like the top.
Bach.
I played a lot of Bach.
Beethoven,
Beethoven, Chopin. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, so I played
Tchaikovsky, people like that. But like you said, sister, it depends on, pardon me, like Corey said, it depends on whose definition of classical you saying, because I listen to Scott Joplin and I don't see anything more classical or more even revolutionary than that. So it opened the way for a lot of other jazz musicians. Well, a lot of other musicians I listen to in other genres, and that caused me to start to pick up an instrument and learn how to play several of them.
Thank you, Andre. That's like right on time for what I was like, the point I was making with Molefi Asante and like what it means to like have a Black consciousness, right? So he'll usually ask that question and basically set people up. And people, when I ask like what's classical music, people usually go to like the European classics, in terms of like Bach, Chopin, Beethoven. But like this idea of like Afrocentricity really means to like center the African perspective. Like why as Black people, when we're asking what is classical, do we automatically go and think of European classics, right? Why aren't we thinking of what Andre said, jazz music, or even blues, or even like African classics? Like each group of people all over the world have their own classics. But like his type of like, I guess I'll say pro-Blackness or understanding of like seeking to his approach to seeking to improve Black people's condition is to like kind of like unlearn this idea that we have to center Europe, right, in our reality. So I just wanted to like give an example of like Molefi Asante, how he kind of like use like intellectual scholarship and stuff to kind of like unpack some of that I guess I'll say like some of that some of the ways we center Europe in our thinking. But yeah, so I have like to actively seek to improve conditions of Black people. Also this commitment to the struggle of freedom and wellness of all Black people as a collective, and also prioritizing the cultural perspectives and experiences of Black people as a collective. So you're probably like, what does pro-Blackness have to do with gender wars in the community? The way I'm tying this all together is like, usually when we're talking about what it means to be pro-Black and Black and proud, we always engage, or I guess I say tend to engage with it in terms of like how Black people are achieving, I guess, improving our conditions against white supremacy, right? We think of it in a larger scale, like how we're fighting against the struggle of mass incarceration, how we fighting against the struggle of police brutality, how we fighting against all these outside struggles. But a lot of the times we don't really get to have these intra-communal conversations with each other about gender dynamics, about like struggles that's going on within our community. So I really want to have like this pro-Black conversation of how to improve our conditions with how we talk to each other and how we dialogue with one another.
I think Marquis has a question.
Yep. Sorry, Marquis. What's up?
I'm sorry. I think that pro-Blackness, and I know for a fact that I'm 110% right. Like, I think it all starts with the Black man. Everything, like from any aspect, anything you want to talk about, from financial to like anything you want to talk about, it starts with us. And then the Black woman, you know, them just being the number one, like ride or die type, you know what I mean? They gonna always follow up. But to back my statement up, I'm gonna start with fashion. Back in the 70s, right? They used to spend time and effort in the mirror, making sure they were sharp coming outside. They got aesthetics. You know what I mean? Black Power, the Black Panthers, they afro was tight. Everything was sharp to the T. You know why? Because the Black man said, you know what? I'm about to come outside and throw that ush on. I'm about to put on the black, you know what I mean? And I'm gonna just come out and I'm gonna look good and I'm gonna be an activist. And so the Black ladies, they got together, like, you know what, sis, I don't know what they were saying, but they probably was like, sis, we gonna throw that ish on, make sure my man, while he up there looking good, I'm gonna make sure I look good too. But you know, I think that over time, people just stop caring about themselves, you know what I mean? And started worrying about everything else. Like nowadays, like it's hot girl summer and whatnot. Like guys, like, you know what I mean, we got our pants below our butts and stuff like that. And like certain girls are starting to like that now. And I'm like, where we come to, yo? Like for real. Like,
you make some good points, Marquis.
Like back, I was watching some Joan back in the day. I'm sorry, I'm gonna just get this last one out. Like,
so we gotta keep going real quick though. All right, Danielle, you good?
Marquis, you hit a lot of different points. I'm like, I don't even know where to start, because like even aside from you was going to the pants thing, but before that you were talking about the pro-Blackness started with the Black men, and I'm like, ooh, that's an interesting. I want to put a pin in that conversation.
Yeah, let's stop right there, and then
I do want to put a pin in that conversation. Because with this idea of like pro-blackness started with the black man, and like how a lot of times I think folks center like black men in this conversation of what it means to be pro-blackness and what it means to be what you call it, influential black figure in the black community. You got to be a man for, like, this idea of like male first is like I guess I say like a taboo topic within the community. But I do want to talk about like this idea of like gender wars and tensions within the black community. I think it relates, but do you think there's a disconnect between black men and black women in the in our community today? I said cis black men. We're just gonna gear the conversation and talk about cis people for today, because you know we could talk about like a lot of like outside of cisgender folks, and that would be like a whole nother. If y'all could bring me on again, that would be awesome. But like, yeah, for today, I do want to talk about just cis black men and cis black women. If y'all don't know what it means, I have a definition for y'all. So cisgender means the same side as. So it's used to describe someone whose gender identity remains on the same side of the gender they were assigned at birth. So me, I was assigned female, a girl at birth, and I identify as a woman, right? So I'm on the same side as. So that's what we're talking about, cisgender black men and black women. Do you think there's a disconnect between black men and women today in our community? And Marquis talked about a little bit, but what do y'all think? Let me see.
I'm gonna say yeah off rip. I think yeah, I see Angelo shaking his head with me. Why do you think, Angelo?
Yeah, I feel like that is definitely true, because it just like it's a disconnect for sure on so many levels. Like, for instance, the responsibilities that we supposed to have for a man and woman, like especially like in household, like the man is supposed to go out, hold it down for the house, like bring the money in. The woman stays home, cooks, cleans, watch the kids, and all that. The gender roles is like, it can be a dysfunctional like system in that too. And like, for as like, I'm gonna say like, really, it just they carry so much onto them, like the black woman is like the stigma it has in society, what they give them and how you supposed to live the day-to-day life is like they can't, if they go outside of that is an issue. It's like if they're not like going along like how society supposed to have you as a person, is like you're not like accepted in society anymore.
Okay.
Cool. I see Andre has his hand up.
Yeah, I just want to say that I definitely feel that it's a disconnect between, you know, I'm not even going to limit it, all black men and all black women in the community. And, you know, I think it begins with, and it has to be resolved with communication. You know, it starts with the respect level first, and then how we communicate with one another and what we say to one another. You know, I've heard a lot of conversations where, you know, whether the conversations were where people had a difference of opinion, or if there was something that brought about confrontation, just in a way that people communicate with black men and black women in the community, communicate with one another. You know, I think that the respect level has to be restored, because, you know, it's a thing where you don't have to always agree with someone to understand where they're coming from, you see. So I can understand something whether I agree with it or not. But even whether I agree with it or not, I have to do it respectfully in order to request the same respect that that I want. I have to give that respect first. So I have to set the standard. So if we don't have respect in our communication, then that's the first part of where our community starts to crumble. Because I can't go out here and ask people of other ethnicities to respect mine, protect mine, if I'm not doing it myself. So we have to set the standard and even the way that we communicate with one another.
Got you. Thanks, Ray.
Yeah. I think that's also a good segue into like, oh, Aponte, you said you had something?
Oh, I'm sorry, but yeah. No, when it comes to the disconnect between Black women and men in general, for one, I feel like the problem always is going to start between us in general. It always, we allow it to, and we enable the activity between us to be disconnected, okay? And the biggest thing is that what I see is always, especially with Black women, the heavy weight that has been dumped, that somebody else mentioned here, and then on top of the constant discreditation, which caused a big disconnect between Black women and men in general. And then it's always the establishment, you know, even when we actually like create equality between us two, that doesn't mean stripping the power away from the other, which I hear a lot about in the Black community. You know, a lot of Black men will come out and say, oh, well, a Black man is supposed to take this position as well. But what we forget is that in general, Black women are a pivotal point of our success as it is. You know, they've been a part of every big movement, had their own movements, even when we were not involved. And it's just, it creates so many disconnects. And now here, decades later, we still have this disconnect, and it's amongst the youth now. So that's all I gotta say.
Yeah, that's true. You hit on a lot of stuff, Aponte. Like, I mean, and you said it's amongst the youth.
Yes, it's right to the youth now.
It's a. Let's segue into some of the youth arguments that we've been having. These are like okay, so I have 3 Twitter topics that like happened in the past week. However, it's 5:37. I might skip a topic. Who's that clapping? Is that Andre clapping? You know Kevin Samuels?
You know it is.
Oh my God. Okay, so I'm going to skip one of the topics because just for the sake of time, but it's 2 of them that I really want y'all to talk about. Let's talk about this Kevin Samuels guy first. He's an image consultant. It's him on the right. A social media influencer. He's a YouTuber with about 440,000 followers. His view, like some of his videos get like over millions of views. And like when I tell you it causes controversy, if y'all haven't seen any of his debates on Twitter yet, you'll probably see it soon because he's like popping out here on these Twitter streets. He talks a lot about high value men. Andre, you might be able to speak to it a little bit more after we watch the clip, but basically men who I guess who are high valued in society, Black men who are high valued in society, who make over a certain tax bracket in society. But he also gives a lot of people relationship advice and women who seek high value men. And he also talks a lot about like single mothers who I guess may want high value men, or even women in general who may want high value men. He gives women advice on those things. So topic for today, I want to ask you all, and I'm gonna have y'all watch the clip first, but I just want y'all to keep these questions in mind when y'all are watching the clip. Is 1, are single mothers destroying the Black community? Also, I want y'all to think about this idea of this debate between high value men versus undesirable women on the dating scene. So let me see if I can share. I'm trying to reshare. Okay. Can y'all see this right here? This Twitter clip? Okay. Okay, so this is like part of the clip right here.
Okay. Why?
Why? Because I'm stingy. I'm stingy with the puss.
Excuse me?
I'm stingy with it. I do not give it up easily.
Were you married to your daughter's your baby mama though, right?
Baby, I've never been married, no, but I just
okay, so
I know.
Hold on. Let's talk about this though. See, I find it funny that women like yourself, baby mamas, all of a sudden want to get stingy with the puss after you done gave you a warm up before a ring. But then you want the high value men to put a ring on it before he gets it?
So am I supposed to give it away?
You goddamn right you already did. Because here's the thing. See, that's what I mean. Man, you're a used vehicle wanting brand new 2021 prices. Okay. Why?
I don't know if this is a continuation. Let me see this clip.
Wow.
2 years old.
You say this?
With 2 kids.
Okay.
Talking about celibate? You need to be trying to get that shit away. Listen. How much did you weigh the last time you weighed yourself?
180. You can tell I'm heavy chested.
Yes, man, but listen.
What is he doing, bro?
Seriously, man, if we height weight adjusted you, you will be the size of an offensive or defensive lineman. You're almost 40 years old with 2 kids. Talking about celibate?
Sorry, they repeated.
This guy.
So that's I didn't want to find like put like this whole clip because he be having like 2-hour long videos.
Yeah.
But I hope y'all got like the gist of the conversation. He's basically giving a single mother advice on she wants to have a high value man, a man that makes over a certain amount. He's like, one, you have kids, you can't. Is she also a celibate? How can you be celibate and have these standards when you are a single mother? And then also like you aren't desirable in the first place. So what are y'all thoughts on this conversation that we have going on? This first Twitter debate.
I saw Aponte and Andre.
Yeah, Aponte.
Oh wow. Oh Lord. Okay. So for one, I'm just reflecting on the fact that he told her that she should give it up just because she is a single mother. It makes no sense because once you do learn your lesson, you do learn to value yourself more, especially if it happened under different circumstances. It's a lot of bias going on there, and also devaluing her over her children, over having children. That's the problem. Oh Lord. No. All I had to say is no. Just no. It was the wrong way of going about it, definitely. I'm gonna let Andre go ahead and pick up because I know I'm a little agitated.
I just wanted to say, in fairness to Kevin Samuels, you would probably have to hear the whole clip. First, you have to, you have to.
Do you?
No, listen, please listen. You have to sign an air waiver that he's raw, number one. But sometimes the point isn't made until you hear the entire thing. Now, as far as what he said to this young lady, no. But then again, guess what? Everybody can hear the same thing, and we could all have individual opinions on the same thing. My thing is that, coming into something, talking about 40 years old and celibacy, like the brother said, maybe she learned from a mistake and she found that practicing celibacy now is not going to lead her into making those same mistakes again. I don't know if that was enunciated further on in the clip or not. So, I'm not going to totally gun him down about that. But what I do know is that we as Black men, like I said before, we have to stand up and set the standard. We can't talk about, we can't get mad if sisters are making $200,000 and $300,000, and if we're not getting to the educated or getting to the points or looking for opportunities or creating the opportunities where we can do that. So at that point, we have to respect the leadership roles where the leaders are. So I mean, if we want things to change in our community, we have to stand up and find our place in our, in our family, in our community, etc., and not make excuses. We have to do that. So we have to be our first resource.
I'm gonna say one thing and then get it back to Danielle, because it sounds like a trickle down effect of if Black men get right as the leaders, then Black women will fall in line. which I think is this false narrative
Nope,
of.
I'm not saying nope.
Oh, because you said
I'm
black
not
men are
saying
the
fall
leaders.
in line. I'm not.
Okay, then what do you mean? Black
I
men
don't want. This
and
is the
women follow?
thing. If you don't allow negativity in your household, it's hard for somebody to speak, act, or do negative in your house, no matter who the head of the household is. So I mean, this is where we have to start. We have to start with, how we, even how we approach one another, how we greet one another, how we salute one another. If somebody's a great leader, and if somebody's a great Black leader, I think they should be recognized as a great Black leader, period. And we have to start gravitating towards that and worry about, being specific about their gender and all that secondary. Because for me, I want my children to look and see, great Black leaders. And that's why I have to even go back, because I started to say Brother John Lewis as the person that I was looking at when I thought about a Black leader.
So we're gonna turn it back over to Danielle real quick, because we got some less time to go. But I appreciate your comment, bro.
Yeah. Can I just wrap this up one sentence? And the reason why I chose Byron Allen is because, I know he had America and a lot of white America to deal with, but in the end, he did something for all of us. He created a platform to display Blackness. And I think that's a perfect example of pro-Black, to put it in the forefront, not say, oh, it's secondary or in addition to or subordinate to or behind this, but put it right there in the front.
Thank you.
Okay. Yeah, you said a lot. I think we have less than 15 minutes. I'm gonna try to get through. I don't know. Can we go over a little? I don't know if we'll have time.
Yeah, we can. And then whoever wants to stay and can stay.
Yeah, I do.
But so while we have a break real quick, I want to put this in the chat. So if everyone in the chat can just click this link, it'll mark you as being present at this event. So if you are a CCP student, just click that link and it'll mark you as being present. So go ahead, Danielle.
All right, so yeah, Andre, I think also what you said was super interesting. I think you said something along the lines of dealing with Black people, some situation at hand first, and then gender and all these other type of things secondary. I think that's very interesting, and hopefully we get to that, because I am going to address that a little bit. But I'm skip the B. Simone. I don't know if y'all know who B. Simone is, but I'm gonna skip her for a little bit. But I really want to go on this topic 3, this hot topic. I don't know if y'all familiar with Boosie. He a rapper from Baton Rouge. But a lot of the times he talks about double standards when it comes to especially Black women dating multiple people versus Black men dating multiple people, but also Black women's value behind their body count. Right? If y'all not familiar with body count is, how many bodies you got on you, or how many people basically you had sex with, or sexual partners you have, is your body count. So he's talking about Lori Harvey. If y'all don't know who Lori Harvey is, she's Steve Harvey's daughter, and she's known for being a socialite and dating multiple celebrities. And he was basically, he has his little comments on how he feels about Lori Harvey being so open with, having a, large dating pool, I guess, if that's considered large. But let's see what Boosie said a little bit about Lori Harvey. Her dating choices.
You gotta start giving them the credit instead of Lori.
Well, to be fair, most of the guys you talk about have been through a bunch of bad chicks already. You know what I mean? Although Lori Harvey's a very pretty girl, I wouldn't put her at the absolute top of the...
But the industry has. Okay. You wouldn't put her. Yeah. The music has that, you know what I'm saying? So you gotta look at the bachelors who hear home somebody's song and be like, who everybody talking about? Watch this.
Oh, yeah,
I'm finna go get her. I'm finna go get a piece of this. You gotta get a Black bachelor some kind of credit now.
I want Lori Harvey on my wish list.
You know, one nigga like me saying that, somebody else saying that. You know what a rapper saying? You know, I want her because, a lot of big dogs want her on their wish list. You know, so you can't look at it, you know, you got to start giving the bachelors credit. People act like they falling, but nobody's stuck.
Yeah, I guess like
you only gonna stuck, you know, once you done ran through like that, you know, you really only gonna catch a simp. You ain't gonna catch no speed.
Well, she got Michael B. Jordan, who's pretty famous actor.
Yeah,
I mean, is he the biggest black actor in Hollywood right now? I mean, if you really think about it right now, as a leading,
but that's what kind of dude you
as a leading man, like who is bigger than Michael B. Jordan right now? Nobody. I mean, Denzel's already older, and you know what I'm saying? He did his thing, and you know, there's a lot of older Samuel L. Jacksons and everything. But right now, if you want to sell movie tickets or streams, Michael B. Jordan. He's coming back from Black Panther 2. The star of Creed, like the star of a bunch of movies. He's the guy right now. He's claiming her, you know, they taking pictures together.
I told you she gonna get a guy like that.
Because he's not a street guy.
I'm not gonna put a guy like that. That's who will marry her. I feel like they look good together too. That's the kind of guy who would marry her, you know, somebody, you know what I'm saying.
So you wouldn't marry Lori Harvey?
Nah, I wouldn't.
No. Well, you're not talking about
I don't look for that in a woman, girls who, if a girl like that, I'm just trying to fuck her to, you know, tell my homie.
Like he had a choice. Nah, I wouldn't.
This is also, sorry. This
like
is
he
also,
really had a choice, like you said, Corey.
This is his reaction to people's like pushback on what he said in that interview. So this is his reaction. His follow-up.
What I won't hate on Lord. I just say y'all got it fucked up saying that's goals. If you saying that's goals, that means you want your daughter to fuck 7 or 8, 9 niggas in a couple months in the industry. If that's goals, if that's cool with you for your daughter doing that, then I can't say shit. But what's wrong with y'all motherfuckers is y'all salute the woman who get passed around, but y'all dog the woman who stick by they nigga when they nigga fuck over. Y'all dog the real bitches who stick by they nigga. You heard me? But y'all salute the bitches who go from hand to hand. The world fucked up. But the woman who stick by her nigga, find her one celebrity and stick by that nigga, she's stupid. The world fucked up. I'm just a speaker. The world.
All right, so what y'all think about this that second Twitter topic? Russell, you got your hand raised?
I mean, I will agree with Shane put in the chat that we got to roast him, but I'm too nice for that. But it's everything that he says is like kind of intriguing to me because like, are you in a relationship with her? No. So I feel like he's just looking for attention, just to like gain up his popularity, which I'm not gonna give it to him. But I know he's not the only type of guy that's just like only targeting Lori, but like there's other type of guys that's just like targeting women like her as well. It's just so irritating. It's just like, I don't get why so many people, including as men as well, just putting all their attention into this man who knows that, like, of all the things that he had done, especially last year with the whole sexual allegations and all other stuff that I want to get into, but like,
talk on it, Russ.
Talk on it.
It's weird. It's just weird. I don't know why so many people put their attention into this one guy, is who we all familiar with what he had done throughout many years. So it's just like, it's ridiculous.
Hop on real quick because he had his 14-year-old son,
13, 14,
14, and his nephew. And his underage nephew as well.
Hold up. Listen, I for all for that, but listen, I ain't gonna sit here and and listen to no black men diss no other black man. That's not what I'm for.
This is not this. It's called one of Shane's.
Marquis, it's holding black men accountable, Marquis. That's a real form of love.
But like, bro, like we don't know. This man got rich people problems. That's a black man, and I'm gonna do anything but uplift that brother. That's all I'm gonna say.
Hold on, Marquis.
Wait.
So real quick, I want to finish.
Oh, wait,
I want to
finish.
Let me finish what I said because you interrupted me. I want to finish what I said. So Boosie had his 13 and 14-year-old nephew and son, basically, I would say, raped by a stripper. They had fellatio performed on his underage son by a grown woman. He paid for this. Mm-hmm. So Theo asked the question, what did he do? This man who just talked about Lori Harvey having too many bodies on her had his 13-year-old son and a nephew raped. That's what he did.
Started them out with bodies on them at 13 and 14. So I agree with you wholeheartedly. And this is the thing. And Danielle.
Yep.
I have to thank you for this, for even having the concept of bringing this up. Because the thing is, before we can go outside of our circle as Black people, we have to deal with things in-house. We have to clean up our mess. So where are people that people are looking to Lil Boosie for guidance? Come on, man. You got to check your own moral compass if you look into Lil Boosie for guidance. And this ain't about slandering the next Black man. This is telling the truth. And if we can't tell the truth in-house, how are we going to look outside and hold other people accountable and say, tell the truth?
Oh, I said, oh, that's a clap. I thought that was a hand raise, Ponzi. I mean, let me show one more clip too that it really, I guess, follows up this conversation of not even just like this body count conversation, but just Boosie itself. But it's like Boosie is not just like acting alone in like this idea, or I guess in this conversation of I guess placing value on Black women's bodies. So let's go to, I don't know if y'all familiar with Jesse Lee Peterson. He's an interesting.
He's a mess.
Yeah,
I know Howard is.
You said Howard, you
Vaughn used to watch this guy a lot.
I don't know why.
I don't know if Howard remembers.
Wait, why the screen? Okay, hold on. Was that the wrong screen? Okay, no, it wasn't. How do you move the bar on the top? Okay, out the way. Okay, here it is.
There you go.
Your cameraman. He's a what do you call it? Like a Christian conservative,
yes.
Republican. But he's here like interviewing women while they're on the slut walk protest, and this is just the conversation he having with women about them being a quote unquote slut. So here we go.
Yes, we are all sluts. You're a slut. All these dudes behind you are sluts. Your cameraman's a slut. Your PA's a slut. And your mic's a slut.
And what made you a slut?
Because I own my body. My body is not a political playground. It's not a place for legislation. It's mine, and it's my future. Hey.
How old are you?
Grown.
And so you sleep around with a lot of men?
No, actually, I'm a virgin.
You're a virgin?
Yeah.
So you're not a slut?
Yes, you can be a slut. Because a slut is not what you made it, Jesse. A slut is what I made it. A boss, getting money, taking the mic, turning life around, taking over Hollywood. Samir, right?
So you are still a virgin, but yet you call yourself a slut.
It wouldn't matter. I'm saying it doesn't matter if I'm a virgin. It doesn't matter what a woman's sexual history is. A slut is just a word that you and your fellow penises made. A slut. Your mama's a slut. Your grandma's a slut. Everybody.
Is your mother a slut?
No, but yours is.
Your mother's not a slut?
No.
When you said every woman's a slut.
Everybody.
Why your mother is not a slut?
You are a slut. Not my mother in particular, not a slut, but a slut is a word for anybody who's owning their sexuality, turning up, and not letting Jesse twist their answers around.
So let me ask, I noticed are you dressed slutty today?
No, I'm dressed like a woman.
What made you decide to come out looking like this? You look like a slut. What made you do it?
You look like a slut.
What made you dress?
What made you dress like this?
No, just answer that question. What made you dress?
I dress like this because I can dress whatever I want to, period. But what made you dress like this?
Let me ask you, do you believe?
You put on this striped shirt?
Let me ask you, do you believe in God?
Yes, Jesse. I believe in God.
Would God want you to be a slut?
God would want me to be whatever I want to be.
Would he want you to be a slut?
He would want me to be whatever I want to be.
How about a slut?
Whatever I want to be.
And why would he want you to be a slut?
He would want me to be whatever I want to be because God believes in choice. And you should know that, Jesse. That's why you're allowed to wear this lame ass shirt.
Would your parents be happy knowing that you're a slut?
My parents would be happy to know that I'm a free woman on a billboard in Times Square in Soho for Airy Real because we take back the woman form and we ain't lame dudes like Jesse wearing striped shirts.
Thank you so much.
Corey requested for me to put this in our conversation for today.
I cannot. I did.
But what are y'all thoughts on like this idea of like slut shaming or you know, calling out people's you know, sexuality and putting labels on it in our community? Because she said something really interesting, like it's like I could be a virgin and still be a slut because it's basically labels that folks put on you. I mean, think about that in terms of the conversation with Lori Harvey, because who said that Lori Harvey slept with all these, you know what I'm saying? Him talking about like her body count. I mean, even if she did, it really isn't anybody's business, right? But this idea that like you could put labels on people based on like your assumptions or perceptions, but her point would be better if someone was able to express herself a little better. Howard said she didn't express herself good enough. Somebody said, what is the world going to? To learn and help educate others, we all learn from anything. So yeah, what were y'all thoughts on that? And also like this conversation of I guess I'll say like slut shaming Black women or valuing their body counts in our community.
Hello.
Hey.
When it comes to labels, and especially when it comes to Black men always labeling Black women as so many different labels, whether it be slut shame, whether who are always talking about women's body counts but not talking about their own. I don't get it. And like I love how she stood her ground in the video, to be honest. You know, slut is just a word. A lot of these words, we just have words. It's just too many words for things. And if you don't personally know this person or you don't even know anything about them, why are you even like equating certain words with them in the first place? It's too much of that. It's a lot of that. Like you said with Laura Harvey, I mean, first of all, only she probably knows how many people she has been with and why does that matter in the first place? And who are you to label somebody as such a thing if you don't even know them personally? And even if you did, you know, it's not your position to do so. You know, so many words go around, but not enough meanings for them. And all the meanings that are out there for them are always usually crooked or something that's based off of bias instead.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Anybody else?
I was trying to get at the chat, but I was just saying personally, me, I don't want my son having a higher body count than my daughters. So I mean, you know, I want them to try to use discretion, you know, and rather to go out there and look for somebody that they, you know, deem as an ideal mate, you know, whether it's for now or a lifetime. But, you know, I don't want my son to have any higher a body count than my daughter does. So that's just me personally.
And that sounds great, but then we have other things talking about like the Book of Future says, you know,
because I'm not going to applaud him. I'm not going to be that dude where, oh, he going to get the hand clap, but my daughter's going to be like, oh, how could you? That ain't going to happen.
Yeah. But we also like, we put men like Future on a pedestal as saying that's what, you know, not us, maybe in particular me or anyone on this call,
Just saying as a
but we
community,
look at,
like
as a community, we put Future on a pedestal because he's been, you know, running around these streets, you know, being with whoever he wants to be with. But if a woman does the same, there's this communal double standard that the Black community has. But yeah, go ahead, Marquis.
All right, I wanted to say something. I'm sorry I left, but I just felt like as a man, I wasn't being shown the level of respect that I had for everybody else. That's the reason why I left. So, and I was invited here. So, you know, I feel like I have valuable points that need to be made when I speak. So I just ask that if you have something to say, you know, rebuttal. But you know what I mean? I do wish to get out what I gotta say. And if I would respect the time limit, I'm gonna respect the time. But man, today I really feel like it's a shift in what the world should really be like, what it used to be like. Like, but the point I was trying to make before, like I was saying, girls like nowadays, a girl can look at a man with some ethicas on and be like, when showing his butt off, well, he got a bow and he will have a belt on, a designer belt, showing his butt, and it's like girls will like that. And I'm saying that today, they're changing the gender roles. That's what they're trying to do. Like me, I was raised as a traditional man. My family, we have hospitality. My family is from the South, you know, so it's just certain things and respects and principles that I believe in that most of these people nowadays don't believe in. Like you got hot girl summer. I'm all for girls having that point in their life, you know what I mean, where they just feel like they want to be promiscuous, because as men, that's just us, period. Like, you know, like this is us, period. Because we're men, that's what we're gonna do. Like I was raised as the man, you gonna go out, you hunt the food, you bring it back, the woman cook it. You know what I mean? Not saying that all women belong in the kitchen, but damn, that's a good thing to learn how to do, you know? But what I think about this slut shaming and all that, whatnot, I think us men, we need to value our penis as like a real gift, you know what I mean? Like these men, these girls, that's what they girls is doing, you know what I mean? Like, that's why I like pimping, because pimping is like, you gotta honor yourself, like how the girl honor themselves, and then they look up to you like that, like God, like, oh my God, damn, like, so if you sharp to the T and she can't tell you nothing and you doing your business and you on top of what you got to do, then she has no choice but to follow up.
I actually have a follow-up question for you, Marquis, and also like to the rest of the group, but I don't know, it's 6:07. I don't know what to do. Like,
I mean, we going until we stop. Basically.
Okay.
Listen,
okay.
I see Shane saying
I just found out yesterday how to set up a Zoom meeting. So if anybody, if it's a time thing, like the actual app will cut you off,
yeah,
I will set up a Zoom. Everybody can jump in and rock as long as we
Can we keep going?
This is important.
Yeah.
Can we please keep going?
Appreciate that. But we good. We got the CCP account. We're gonna be here till the wheels fall off.
Okay.
So Danielle, and then I know Shane saying
yeah,
that's after you, Danielle.
Shane, you want to jump in?
I do. Marquis, I know you open, and I want to speak to you directly out of Care and Love, and this is a space and place of Care and Love, and I thank you for coming back.
Okay.
When you mention that you have valuable points, right? Mm-hmm. You always have to be mindful that in an information exchange, much like a currency exchange, value varies to different people. Now, casting masculinity in those really broad frames and those broad strokes isn't the strongest way to build community in a space like this, right? Mm-hmm. Because I directly disagree with your construct of masculinity. And I say that with all the love and care in my heart for you, because I am a man that cooks. I'm a man that cleans. I'm a man that also knows where to get the HVAC material from Home Depot. Right. So I think what you're experiencing, and you can certainly correct me if I'm wrong, is a broadening of what your perspective of masculinity looks like. Because I think that you carry yourself with a lot of value and respect for yourself. And I think that I want to lay out the challenge to you that you can do a lot of growth and growing in also viewing and holding up femininity in its many forms at a higher level. Because right now, there are just some differences and some areas of growth in your own education that I really want to personally extend resources to. So that way, when you come into spaces like this, there's a richer pool of knowledge that you can come from, because also in the 70s, being a Black man was a lot harder than it is now. And it's really tricky and really concerning to root things in the past history, not understanding the larger broad strokes of what Blackness was like in the 70s or in previous times. So there's a lot to work on. And I just really want to extend that love and support to you, because the entirety of CME is here for you to work on that, because we're all learning, right? And we're all evolving in our understandings and our definitions. But I just want to highlight the fact that, like, putting masculinity in a specific box, like how you're framing it, is going to be a detriment to your growth.
Oh, I wasn't putting it in a box. Like I said, I said man, woman. I said it would be a nice skill to learn, but I said women don't all belong in the kitchen. But I said, like, I'm a traditional man, and I believe that men are hunters. Bring it back, 50-50. That's all I'm saying. And
but right now it sounds like,
and you took it the wrong way. And what I was saying,
Marquis,
we can
what you're saying,
but I mean, like, Black Wall Street, back in the 70s. I was just saying, like, back in the 60s, 70s, it's just like a certain level of class that was going on that people had to look up to. Like, I was watching a video about like gangs in the 60s in Philadelphia, and these dudes were literally, like, I don't want to talk about anything negative, but this is what it is. Like, these dudes were tussling with pea coats on and penny loafers and dress shoes with slick backs, so you know what type of time they was on. Compared to today, that's not even a thing no more. They used to just shake hands, bam, bam. It is what it is. Now you gotta go do something.
Indeed.
You gotta take somebody out. So
got you, Marquis. Thank you. Not to cut you off, but we do have Andre who had his hand up, and I think Russ wants to make a rebuttal to your point. So I want to make sure everyone's being heard.
I want to be clear too, because I don't want to make sure and if you feel type of way, just tell me, because I'm not like, I'm in my way, but I'm definitely open to hearing new opinions.
Yeah, and that's the beauty of this discussion. But one tip I have, write down your thoughts to a point that someone says. That way you don't feel the need to just hop in when someone says it, but write down your thoughts and then raise your hand, and then we'll all come back, and then you have, like, what to refer to, so, take notes, and, we'll come back to you. But I see Andre and then Russ. Then I want to come back to Danielle's, because I know Danielle is wanting to go somewhere else, but.
I'm going to make this really, really fast. So I hope you all can see this picture. This is a picture of my grandmother on the day when my family migrated to Brooklyn from Seneca, South Carolina. So I got Southern roots too, y'all. And if you notice in this picture, there's only one child seated in this picture. That's my mother, the oldest of 7. The reason why she's seated, because she's probably tired. When they migrated this was the last night in South Carolina when they came to New York. And when they got to New York, it was on and popping for my mom. My mom had to watch her siblings while my grandparents worked. And the reason why you don't see my grandfather, because he was fighting in World War II. So like Corey said, I'm a man who cooks, I'm a man who cleans, a man to keep myself sharp when I leave my house. That's right, and I've donned a Marine Corps uniform that looks like no other. But I don't forget what it's like to be Black. So even talking about pimping, somebody talking about pimping me or mine, and I'm talking about in my community that I'm close to, then guess what? I'm also a Black man that carry a weapon, and I'm gonna defend mine. I was taught to respect and protect the Black woman at all costs. You know, but because a lot of people listen to hip hop and all the rest of that, guess what? I was there when it started. So I was very young, but I was there when it started. But they was like, what are they babbling about? And in the words of Tupac, we got our name from a woman and our game from a woman. So guess what? They're the ones that bear our children. So we as men have to develop this communication I was talking about earlier, this respectful communication, so we could create a dialogue in our house that spills over to in our neighborhood, our community as a whole. So you gotta understand, you know, when you're not listening, you miss something. It might not always be something you agree with, but it's nothing wrong with understanding something, whether you agree with it or not. That's all I got.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I see Russ, and then back to Danielle, and then Lamar. We'll come back to you after Danielle takes us to a new point.
You know, it's very nice to hear, like, I'm taking my time to like to gain all this information in from like everybody's different perspectives, like whether it's like the old traditional way of like how a man should be and how different it is than it was in the back in the days than it is now, with how men portray as themselves today. So there are some things I'm not going to call on anybody, but there are some things I might not agree with. But here's my perspective about like how I was raised. I wasn't always born with a male figure around my life when I was younger. There were many females. Females taught me how to be the man who I am today. Like, regardless of teaching me how to be a cooker or watching my own siblings while they work, while they didn't have anyone else. No man, no grandparent or nothing, just me. And I always have to babysit my siblings while they work during their days. Even after schools, I always had to babysit them. So there's so many things that just like kind of ticks me off with just like, is this the miscommunication and not consent with how people trying to teach each other some things, but they're not listening, if that makes sense. So let's say, for example, there's always a questioning on social media, regardless whether a man or a woman question about their beliefs or perspective on certain things. Like, for example, like how a man should be or how a woman should be. Mm-hmm. And it's very interesting. This is like, there's so many toxic ways that I see than it was a couple years ago. Today is just like, I'm not here to bash on anyone. I'm here to like try to understand where they're coming from and try to like give them new perspective, you know? With the whole bluesy education, I'm not here with the cancel culture thing. Like, I don't think that's really exists. But if any of us or any man or a woman should be able to, like, whenever we have contacted with Boozy, I think it is a perfect opportunity to, like, re-education, because I know the things that he's saying now is just kind of like, it doesn't match with my perspective of how a man should be and how a woman should be. But my perspective of how a woman should be is none of my business. It's not mine. That's for the individual. It's really not my business, because everyone's equal, what Albert says, because everyone has their own perspectives, their own paths that shape them of who they are today. So if we were able, here's my question for everyone in this chat. would y'all forgive Boosie and try to re-educate Boosie about like trying to change his perspective or like make him learn something new that he could be like have this toxic mentality to have on certain topics? Or would y'all continue to, let's say, I don't know, let him get away with certain things, or like, I don't know, just not interacting, not communicating, or I don't know, that's my question for y'all. Do y'all want to re-educate it?
Yeah. Can I jump in a little bit about? Can I jump in a little bit with that? Because it really, like what you said about like, should we re-educate Boosie? Kind of like, I think leads me to my next point that I really wanted to ask you all too, but also challenge y'all thinking like, when it comes to, I guess, let me see. It says, I'm looking at my questions that I wrote down for y'all. Like, we're talking about re-educating Boosie in terms of how he valued Black women's sexuality, but then also we went into this idea of like certain roles and gender norms in terms of like what femininity is supposed to look like and what masculinity is supposed to look like. And it's not necessarily about like educating Boosie, like, or, you know, giving him a spank on the hand, like in public individually, but I want to like talk about like re-educating like ourselves and then everyone, but also like, where do we think that these roles of femininity, I mean, yeah, where did these roles come from? These ideas of what femininity and masculinity come from in the first place? Like, that's what I really want to ask you all. Like this idea of like, the woman's supposed to be doing this and the man is supposed to take care of this for the woman. Like, where did these ideas even start from in the first place?
Do you mean specifically to the Black community or to just men and women in general?
That, I mean, where did we as a Black community get our ideas of where?
As an African American community?
Yep.
All right, cool. Just want to make sure.
Yeah, because I'm centering us in the conversation though, but like, where did we even get these like ideas of like femininity? Like as a woman, you're not supposed to be having sex with all these different people. As a man, you like me and we supposed to be out here, you know, I don't know, in the streets. But yeah, like where do we get all these, like where do we get this from?
This is it's all a social construct. Like and we, like African Americans, like, you know, like Black people, we got this from Caucasian and Europeans. This originated from, you know, medieval times where, you know, chivalry was a thing and where men were fighting or were knights or stuff like that. Like that, like those roles were set in stone by Europeans, and that kind of poured into our community as well. And we still believe in that same practices today. And the thing is about social constructs is that they always change too. During the, you know, it's funny because like when it was like someone mentioned that, you know, when their father was sent off to a world war or like a war, that social contract changed for women now. We relied on them much more. They were factory workers, they were cooks, they were nurses, they were doing so much for the community, and we changed it up when we need it. And I think that's like, and if we're easily can change this construction that we, you know, then why are we so dependent on like on these traditional values if it's always forever changing? And it's okay if you're a traditional and you value, you know, masculinity or whatever reason, but I think it's when you bash it is where we should start like having a discussion where, hey, this is your perspective of how things should be, but things are forever changing. Like just like how I said, like even in Athens, right? In Athens, when women had, no, not Athens, well, Sparta, in Sparta, women had the same value of that men had. Like they were also fighting in wars too, and they were actually able to, well, not fighting wars, but they were actually able to own property and businesses and so forth, compared to Athens, where, you know, that wasn't even a thing. So I think like it's really a social construct that we kind of just like still use today, and we bash, you know, each other, like, you know, cisgender people, we kind of bash each other based off, you know, of body count, all this other stuff. And the body count part is really, that came from Christianity as well, where, you know, adultery and like having many, or having sex before, actually getting married, like all that stuff all came from like religion and stuff like that as well, which also Christianity came from white people too. So I think that just really pours, like, and we kind of like use those beliefs today, even though I think it's not really an accurate depiction of our community and our history.
And to center the conversation, Justice, Ya Asentawa is another frame of reference you can use when referring to to women in militaristic roles. Ya Asentawa was a war commander who fought off the British when they were trying to invade Ghana. So same as, in Sparta, same, Black woman Ya Asentawa was fighting whenever the other men wouldn't. She led an army.
She was Black?
Yes, Ya Asentawa, yes.
From Africa?
Yes. From the Kumasi region in Ghana. Look her up. But she led a whole war against these white British men who were trying to take over. But my fault. Just want to add a frame to your reference.
Who said that? All that, because that was deep. I had a lot to say about. Oh, not too much. I don't want to scare nobody, but because we say it was deep, and that I was thinking about, like, I don't know if it's like a country called Lesbian or something like that, where like I think where the Amazons were sent, and they were like warriors, like just women, and they would like just fight wars against, like, I don't even know who they fight against, but I heard it's like they would
talking about Xena, bro. That's a TV show.
Nah, it's real, and they would chop their boob off, so it would help them use their bow and arrow and stuff like that. But that's another thing. That's Amazons. And most of these dudes today that the world is breeding ain't built for all that. But I don't know where masculine and feminine came from. I think it definitely European influence comes into it. I think of that when I think all of that Amazonian, but we got some Black Amazons, but that's a difference there. But when I think of the Black aspect of it, I think of like in the jungle, like when I think of like, cause like some what's my man's name? Helter Skelter. Some people, that's why I get his name. That's not his real name, but he wrote the book called Helter Skelter. And he was like, you take them out of the jungle and you try to put a suit on them and try to turn them into a man when they were in the jungles and they were gods. And I'm like, damn. So when I think of like beautiful Black women and men, us in the jungle, I honestly see it as like beautiful civilizations, if I said that word right. And like just women, like I think women just gravitate to men, like, and I just like, especially a man who's doing what they're supposed to be doing, it's just, it is what it is.
Gotcha.
And
I know Lamar's hands.
Christianity, like I think, bro, Christianity came from us, bro. Like, if you want to be honest, bro, like all that stuff.
Thank you, Marquis. I know Lamar's hands went up for a while, and then I know Howard wants to say something too.
Howard.
Can I share something?
Please.
I wanted to just say that, first of all, I think that is great that we're having this enlightened discussion for all of us to learn and grow and appreciate differences in opinions and perspectives. I want to say that first. This is dope. I wanted to just speak on what Marquis and Russell and what many others were saying with regards to masculinity and us as a Black community. I do partially agree with what Marquis was saying with regards to certain type of traditional roles that men have. No, no, because it does come from masculinity nature that we have as men, but also I think that now in a new age, particularly in 2021, I think that it depends on each individual and how you perceive what masculinity is and how it works for you. So I agree with what Shane was elaborating on when he shared that he cooks, he cleans, but he also knows how to pick out certain tools when he goes to, Home Depot or Lowe's. And so, there's nothing absolutely wrong with that, So it depends on your own individual perspective on masculinity and how you want to carry yourself as a man who when it comes to that. So, but that's just my take on that particular subject matter. And when it comes to us as a whole collective, Black community, a lot of the concepts and constructs that we have learned about masculinity and femininity did come from European influence, but by their colonization and their oppression and forcing their way on other indigenous people. But what we have to understand is that prior to us being enslaved, we as people of African descent, we already had our own system of what masculinity and femininity was, and there were certain African cultures where women had a superior role that had nothing to do with cooking and cleaning and child bearing. And so I just think that, that we have to keep all of those factors in mind, when we, talk about femininity and, and masculinity as it relates to us as Black people. That's all I wanted to say.
Angelo, did you? Well, first of all, you was spitting some facts, Lamar. Okay. I'm sitting here taking notes and like saying yes to that point, yes to that point, with like damn near everything you just said. But and I do want to get back to a lot of the stuff you said, but I want to get to Angelo first and just, before I wrap up that last point of like where we're, conceptualizing like this idea of like masculinity and femininity and where that come from. But
and I know Howard wanted to go too. I know Howard, then Angelo maybe.
Sorry, I ain't see you, Howard.
It's all good. His hand was like physically up.
Oh, physically up. Okay.
Virtually.
Howard.
My bad. I can go.
Right after Howard goes.
All right.
Yeah. Thank you.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, we can't hear you, Brother Howard.
Howard, you're on mute.
Yeah, are you connected to headphones that are away from you? Because you're off mute now, but we still can't hear you. Yeah, we still can't hear you, brother. So maybe try reconnecting. We'll go to Angelo, and then you can come back.
Nothing.
Yeah, type it, bro. Type it.
Next.
Type it.
Go to the,
yeah.
Okay.
Wait.
Yeah.
There you go. I can hear you.
You heard me now? Just go to.
Cool. Go ahead, Angelo, and then Howard will put it in the chat.
Yeah, I didn't want to say too much. Just a brief statement. I want to say before, like I just believe in equality in the world, and just like everybody being together and have a strong bond. Like the double standard stuff, I'm not with it at all. I'm not with that. Everybody should be equal on both sides, and that's like I think with that, like not like the body like shaming people and what they believe in, like the character in the Black community. If we just cancel all of that, just annihilate everything about that in that way, I believe the Black community becomes stronger as a whole, and we can just like see each other from what like see eye and eye, like we can like see what like everything that we like hear them out, just like as we're doing right now, just like talking. If we can just communicate what Andre said, communication is key, and it's like that runs really like deep in the Black community. We need to improve in that aspect. So yeah, as far as the masculinity and feminine, like that's just going back to like what you was taught at birth, like growing up, like in the household, you men supposed to be doing this, women supposed to be doing this. Like as I like now, I'm learning that it doesn't have to be that. Like you don't have to tell me I have to do this. That I have to stick to this one thing. Like I can like venture off to different things and see like how it work for me. But yeah, like just equality and just like sticking together, love each other, support each other always to the end. And yeah, that was my take on it.
Thank you. Thank you for that. And that's also a point that I wanted to make in addition to like this idea of like re-educating ourselves and like researching where, not saying that like we just got to get rid of traditions because they're outdated, but also like recognizing like where our traditions come from, because I think traditions are good, traditions are cool. Like I admire like our African traditions, a lot of things that we do as African people, but some things that we do as African people and as Black people come from things that aren't I guess I'll say, what is the word for it? It's foreign to us, right? Is that what I'm trying to, what's the opposite of that? Like, it's like it's otherness. Yeah, it's not, it doesn't actually come from us. That's what I'm trying to say. Right? Yeah, I'm sorry. Yeah, it's like, it's not rooted in Africanness. So like, for instance, Lamar talked a lot about this idea, like during European Enlightenment, right? When like or during enslavement, they created these narratives about Black people of being like other or like unhuman, dehumanized, like animals, animalistic, right? So this idea of like when they created these narratives, they're like, okay, we're enslaving these African people. These African people aren't even human beings. They weren't just doing that just based on, I mean, just the justification alone to enslave people, but they were also like utilizing that as a justification, like I guess I'll say to enslave us, but also take advantage of us sexually, to take advantage of us and manipulate us spiritually, right?
Can I mention, Danielle?
Yep.
So this might be a little graphic, but so like the characterizations of Black and Black women and men.
Yep.
So like you all know like the mammy figure,
yes,
right?
I want on that.
Like of like the Black woman who like feeds, you know, like literally feeds the other children, right? But it's almost like she was desexualized.
Yeah,
but then
so
you have the over masculization of the Black man to the point where like after, you know, this is getting very graphic, but after they would publicly hang a Black man, people would cut the penis of that person and save it as what's called a totem. Mm-hmm. And they would save that because they saw that this is powerful. There's power in the Black man's penis, right? So the overt sexual nature they placed on the Black body was egregious, to say the least.
Yeah, like let's talk about that specifically for real. Like this over sexualization of Black male bodies, but also this defeminization of women, right? So this idea, like I know y'all hear a lot in our community, like Black women, y'all are angry, y'all act like men, like y'all are nothing but y'all masculine, like y'all need to start being like a tradition. What tradition? Y'all not traditionally feminine, but y'all got to understand, like those stereotypes, they actually come from like how white people shaped us through enslavement. Like they shaped these narratives of us, of what femininity is. Femininity was white womanhood. That's what femininity was. And they created these images of Black women, of black femininity not being able to fit within it and being the opposite of that. Like Black women were seen as masculine and they were desexualized. And then on the other hand, like Corey was just saying, that Black men were seen as hypersexual and so animalistic that they wanted to rape white women, right? And they were like fearing, because black men couldn't even hold they I guess sexual urges together, that they were literally going to go out there and rape white women. So that's like, so like these like stereotypes that we have that like Black women, that's these stereotypes of like the whore versus the, I guess, the virgin, or these different binaries. These are created from Europe, but we have internalized these things. And like by internalizing, these aren't just like these have real life material consequences, right? These have real life material consequences for us. I'm kind of going out of order, but at this point we're just having like a fluid conversation. But I'm gonna just skip this question about feminism for a second, because I think next where I talk about like this idea of like Black women being hypersexual, but also like somehow like masculine, and then always being critiqued and devalued, but then also Black men being so hypersexual and like couldn't control their urges, like all of these stereotypes that we have internalized as people. I think that these aren't just like conversations that I guess I'll say they're not just like only in social media. Like these are real life conversations that have like material impacts on how we carry out and like see each other in our daily lives. And this is a quote from Feminista Jones when she's addressing like a lot of the violence that Black women face today. And also, yeah, she's talking about the violence. So she said, often Black women and women of color are subjugated to harsh more harsh and harsher forms of street harassment. And I think that Black womanhood has been devalued so much that we are more likely to be treated as property or as objects than any other women. So we have like, I got Tory Lanez and Megan Thee Stallion, like that might be seen as like a funny or individual case, but this idea of like a Black man shooting a woman in the foot and no one believes her. Like everybody was like making fun of her, like she's so big and masculine, she ain't no way no little man shot her in the foot, right? Think about where those stereotypes come from of how like Black women are always seen as masculine and strong, and us not being able to feel pain, right? Here I have Mary Spears, a woman from Detroit, Michigan, a mother of 3, who was shot after the club because she didn't give a man her number, right? How dare you, somebody who was supposed to be giving it to me or giving it up, right? As Kevin Samuel said, somebody who's supposed to be giving it up, how dare you say no to me, right? Like, and then also, I'm not sure if y'all know about the history of Sarah Baartman, but she was a South African woman who was coerced to being taken in France in early 1800s, and her body was put on display as being something so like inhuman, right? They put her basically like on the I don't want to say like the auction block, but like in museums to show like
she was an attraction. Yeah, it
was like a freak show attraction, right?
Mm-hmm.
Quote unquote freak show attraction, to see how like insane, like her, to objectify her body. So these aren't just like me going back to our Twitter topics, like these aren't just Twitter hot takes on women being undesirable or like your standards are just too high, but like or even like y'all are too fast and you're a slut. But like these kind of conversations and these kind of dialogues and this discourse leads to stuff like this happening. And they like these kind of narratives is this is why like these things have occurred in our community. So I did want to say that and bring all that together for y'all. I mean, like, do y'all have any responses to anything? I mean, just to wrap this up though, because I know we're way over time. I just really want to conclude this with saying that, like, first of all, thank you all for having like to really engaging with me. To be frank with you all, I don't think I've ever had a very raw and natural conversation about these type of topics with like a group of men before. So I think I really appreciate this conversation, but also and diversity and opinion as well. But in conclusion, this is just what I want y'all to take away, is that I want us to think about pro-Blackness in a way that is inclusive to all Black people. And I also want us to do our research and understand like a lot of the things that we internalize are rooted in racism and European interpretations of gender, race, and identity, right? A family structure, right? This idea of single womanhood, single motherhood as being like the problem in our community. Who came up with that notion, right? Desirability, what's desirable, femininity, where did these things come from? And I really want us to understand that oppression is intersectional, right? And we can have and if we can understand that, then we can have a better approach to talking about issues within our community, because I think that these conversations are as important as any other conversations that us as like pro-Black people, right, may have. So do y'all want to share or say anything else before, you know?
Yeah, indeed. We have so Andre wants to share something, and then I think we should wrap it up. Yep. So I wanted so I want Andre to go, and then Danielle, I want you to put one last bow on the conversation for us to leave with, as the expert in the room on how we could apply this to our daily life. So Andre, and then closing up with Danielle.
Yeah, I just want to say, I want to thank all the brothers I want to thank all the brothers and Danielle, especially for putting this together, seriously, because this is a conversation that's needed, seriously needed, all of us. And it doesn't matter, you know, what your take is on this conversation initially, as long as you took something away from it. you know, and you know, it was difficult for me being a Black Marine, but I'm gonna leave that alone. I fought for everybody's right to be able to express yourself. And we as Black people, that doesn't come cheap or easy to us. There's a lot of us that are dead for expressing yourself. So, you know, I just want, you know, us on here to think about the things we talked about as far as masculinity and femininity, and knowing that, you know, if you equate those things with leadership or submissive roles, those roles can change in life. So,
indeed.
I'm sorry, I heard something that threw me off. I'm sorry. I just want to wrap up in saying that, you know, we as brothers of Center for Male Engagement, we have to be comfortable in whatever roles we in, stand up and take our positions, and make sure people like Sandra Bland, that died in the Texas jail, you know, before she could even make it to trial, or Breonna Taylor, who was an EMS worker, shot in our home. And we have to make sure that these things do not happen to our mothers, our sisters, our nieces, our daughters, our children. So, you know, I'm holding all of y'all accountable, and I will lay my life down again to make sure that you have the right to do that. So thank you for having us, and peace.
Appreciate that. So real quick, before everyone leaves and before I pass the mic to Danielle, I just put a post-event survey in the chat. If all the students who attended could go and fill out this quick survey to let us know if conversations like this are valuable for you and if you want to see more. But without further ado, I give the mic back to Danielle to give us some tasks as Black and brown men in the call.
I mean, I just really want to thank y'all for today in this conversation, but just taking everything that we discussed today and like you also putting your own research. We didn't really get to, you know, technically deep into the research in terms of like the roots of everything. But yeah, I just want us to like not see these like social media things as like individualized circumstances, but they actually have real consequences. And then also like, even if you in your circles and you hear your homeboy saying stuff like that, but like, you know, like accountability, I guess is the word that I really want to use for today. But just making sure we're doing the research, holding each other accountable, and like centering all of our perspectives as a community. So that's all I want to say. And thank you, Corey. Thank you all for having me today. Thank you.
Thank you, Danielle. Peace, y'all.
I appreciate it. Good. Peace and love, y'all.
I see you, Lamar.
What's going on?
All right. Good to see you, man.
Good to see you. Hey, what's going on, man?
Yeah, pretty good. My technology's a little messed up.